folks are joining us through Zoom and through the Sowers of Justice Network webpage. And so we'll just wait a minute or two for everyone to come in. In the meantime, we'll put everyone on mute. Welcome everyone to the 11th Wake Up Wednesday virtual vigil, which is co-sponsored by Louisville Showing Up for Racial Justice, the Interfaith Coalition for Immigrant Justice, and the Sowers of Justice. My name is Britt Garachamani. I'm a member of Louisville Showing Up for Racial Justice Faith Group and the organizing team for the Community Safety for All campaign. During this vigil, there will be 2 periods of silence. During the second silence, you'll be invited to share your prayerful intentions. If you are here with us in Zoom, please do this through the chat. If you're joining us through Facebook, you may share your intentions in the comments. This vigil will conclude at 12:30. If you cannot stay for the whole time, or if you'd like to see it again, it will be available on the Sowers of Justice Network's Facebook page. We will begin our vigil today with 526 seconds of silence in memory of those who have been victims of police violence, and especially those who we have lost at the hands of police violence. Thank you so much for joining us in this moment of silence. I wanted to say that actually each week of this campaign, I've taken a little while after our vigils to look up the names and stories that we've seen on this video. And it's been really meaningful to me to learn more about the life stories of those who've been affected by police violence. And I encourage you to do the same. It really motivates me and keeps me grounded in the work that we're doing. Today we're very fortunate to have our reflection and prayer leader, a message from our reflection prayer leader, Cantor Sharon Hordes of Keneseth Israel Synagogue in Louisville. She's a professional musician and has served as a cantor in Florida for 6 years and Louisville for 13 years. We especially look forward to hearing her reflection on how her faith motivates her work for social justice and community safety for all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sharon Hordes. I'm the cantor at Keneseth Israel Synagogue, and I'm honored and very flattered to have been invited to take part in this project. I'm sorry I can't be doing this live. Unfortunately, I'm making a video in advance. So what has kept me enlivened and energized during these very difficult times? I've lived here for about 13 years. I'm originally from Cincinnati, moved around a bunch and ended up here. And I've been really, really impressed with the interfaith community that is here in Louisville, Kentucky. Multiple organizations, Interfaith Paths to Peace was one I became involved with pretty early on. I've always felt really energized by being part of interfaith organizations and learning about Christianity and Islam and Buddhism and Hinduism and everything. So that all speaks to my experience after the Pittsburgh shootings, the Synagogue of the Tree of Life Synagogue 2 years ago. I was gutted, devastated, afraid. I work in a synagogue every day. And the day after, 2 days after, there was a huge vigil at Temple Shalom on Low Road, and there were just people from all walks of life, all different faiths there, helping to support my community. And I was so inspired, so touched, and felt that, we weren't forgotten. This wouldn't be swept under the rug, that this was an atrocity that everybody understood. But I don't want to leave it there, because fast forward a few months later, at the time we had said all the synagogues have to get security. We have to get police officers, armed police officers at the doors. That's the only way that we're going to feel protected and feel safe. And that seemed like the only solution. But I have to sort of question myself from 6 months ago, because I've become aware, my eyes have been opened to the violence perpetrated on Black and brown people by police officers whose salaries we pay, who are murdered in the streets. George Floyd, one of, sadly, many, many names that we know now, many victims. And it really hit home, this idea that we need to see each other. We need to see the humanity in each other. We not necessarily walk in each other's shoes. That's not always possible, but we need to see the world through the eyes of other people and be sensitive and empathetic to them, or at least sympathetic. And that was a great awakening. I must have known it on some level, but that juxtaposition of us clamoring to get armed guards, armed police officers, with these images of police officers murdering George Floyd in broad daylight, one of many examples. And I thought more deeply about my faith. And I've been thinking about this through the racial reckoning and through COVID-19 and all of the difficult experiences we've had these last 4 years. And I realized that the Jewish people that I was born into, that I'm a part of, that now I work to support and teach and grow with and worship with, are a very resilient people, and resilience is baked into who we are. And I got this flood of energy, and I felt a spirit wake up in me that I am a link in the chain for these people who have been knocked down over and over again and have risen up. We tell the story of not just one temple, but 2 temples being destroyed. And we mark that day, usually falls the end of July, beginning of August, Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, because it was on that day on the calendar that both of those temples were destroyed, decades apart from each other. And we spend that day, we fast for 24 hours, 25 hours, and we experience that. But another point that I want to make, because I'm kind of running out of time, is that when we celebrate the story of Passover, we were slaves in the land of Egypt. We don't say our ancestors were slaves in the land of Egypt. We say that we were, because empathy, like resilience, is baked into being Jewish. And we empathize. We say we were strangers in a strange land. And that is the reason why it is incumbent upon us to help the stranger and the poor and the widow, and translate that to anyone who has been disadvantaged. This is our call. This is what it means to be Jewish. And that's why throughout history you see so many movements coming for justice coming out of the Jews, the fight for labor rights in the early part of the 20th century, other activism that went on in Europe, where they couldn't even be citizens and still stood up and fought for equal rights and equal treatment for all. So this is what has fortified me. And when I start to pray every morning and every evening, the words leap off the page in a new way to me. And that is how my Jewish tradition has helped me through these very difficult times. As I mentioned before,
Thank you so much. We would like to reserve about 3 to 4 minutes for your reflections and your intentions. So please, if you would like to share some of your reflections, do so in the chat if you're here with us in Zoom, or in the comments if you're joining from Facebook. Thank you so much for your comments and your reflections in the chat. And may we all have the same kind of empathy and resilience that Cantor Sharon has spoken about and encouraged us. We'll close our vigil today with a prayer from Cantor Sharon.
As I mentioned before, turning to liturgy has been really helpful to me, and especially the Book of Psalms. And I want to sing as my concluding prayer. This comes from Psalm that we include in our special service that we call Hallel. It's from Psalm 118. And it translates, Adonai is my strength. I sing to God who rescued me. In the tents of the righteous, voices resound with song and triumph. Ozi vezimrat ya vayehi lishuva. 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 I hope and pray that God's strength is with every one of us here in Louisville, in Kentucky, in the United States, and in the world. And may we always be able to access that strength. Amen.
What a beautiful expression. Thank you so much, friends, for joining us. May we follow this example. Amen.